ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wrestling News Weekly. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my buddy Myron.
I'm Myron from the greatest podcast on God's green earth.
Well, it's a milestone show for us, man.
A milestone, yes, sir, it is.
If you track and you keep numbers, which I'm a numbers guy, this will be episode 500 on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network.
That's pretty amazing. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, toot, but man, I am very, very proud of this.
It's a lot of work from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We did this, remember a while back, we were like, oh my God, we were at another milestone and we were, it was like a year, when we did the year show, everybody that was involved. It's not just me and you. I mean, obviously Lewis, John and Sam over at the Dorks. The funny part is even on the year anniversary show, we kind of said thanks to some guys who'd come and gone. I mean, Nathan, God bless him, right? The Littman.
Yep.
Still obviously Facebook, we were bannering back and forth, on Money in the Bank night. So, he's, we still consider him a friend of the show, obviously. So check him out if you're not following him, by the way, the Littman on, over on Twitter. But then also, the DDT Archives guys, they were here, ran for a little while as well. But overall, man, 500 shows between recap shows and interviews. And think about this. We haven't even been here 2 years yet.
Nope. That's, 365 days times 2 is 830 days. And we've got 500 episodes in less. So it's pretty, we're probably at day, 760 right now and 500 episodes?
If my memory serves me correct, it's somewhere in August. That's a sad part.
That means you've gotten more days with Tapped Out than without in the last 2 years.
Oh, God, yeah.
Ha! It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, because you remember we had that stretch, and I'm glad we're not there anymore, by the way. People always ask me that. That 7-day-a-week, schedule was brutal.
But you were dropping 2 episodes a day, sometimes even during that.
Yeah, it was a rough schedule. But first and foremost, I guess, we're not trying to toot our horn and say, hey, 500 episodes. We want to say thanks for letting us do 500 episodes.
Yeah.
To the people listening. I mean, that's pretty spectacular. And I know Lewis and, like I said, John and Sam feel the same way, every week, people that subscribe. I mean, you can go to iTunes, Google Play, you name it. And you can.
We can't leave Eric out. Eric was also a big guy.
Oh, Eric was instrumental, and I totally apologize. You're right. That was all the way back at the beginning, and I'm old. My brain. I mean, you want to go way, way back? Our buddy Anthony, who started with us, from day one.
Yeah.
So we don't want to leave him out either. See, and that's what I hate about when you're thanking people. These people say it at award shows, and they're always right. You'll forget somebody, and you feel like crap when you do. But God bless them. We appreciate everybody who's contributed, everybody who's listened. I mean, because if you want to say thanks, I mean, I would dare say there's some women in our lives that probably deserve as big a thanks as anybody.
Woo, Lord. Yes, sir. I cannot fault you there because my long-term heterosexual domestic partner, Melissa, who has put up with so much shit out of me about this, and I know your lovely wife, Rachel, has been just a patient godsend. The money, the time is really the big deal because the amount of time this takes is astronomical. People don't understand. This is like working another job sometimes.
Yeah, them going to bed by themselves while we're down down in studios recording at, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, God bless back in the days when we were doing the live shows until 1, 2 in the morning. It was brutal. But obviously we enjoyed it because we're still doing it. So again, I know we're 4 minutes into the show and we haven't even started yet, but we did.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to thank the nice people I've met. I've met some people who I would consider lifetime friends now. People that have been kind to me, people who have been mentors to me, people who have just went out of their way to be nice to me. The wrestling fans I have met have been some of the nicest people in the world, and y'all don't know how much that means to me. Thank you very much for always being supportive. Thank you for giving me access to things I wouldn't have had without your help. Thank you for tolerating and coming on and doing interviews when I ask. You guys are the best. You've always been good to me, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I mean, it's, again, like you said, places we've gone. I mean, I did a trip to Denver, Colorado to watch Rocky Mountain Pro, Milestone, the pay-per-view. Yeah. We've done WrestleCade, obviously. We've done, trips to Pro Wrestling Ego in Mississippi. I mean, you name it, man. We're making some drives and we're doing some,
Oh, yeah.
Met some great guys like the people over at Southern Fried, Championship Wrestling here in Georgia.
But when I walk in a building and somebody recognizes me from this, it feels so special.
It's
and
cool.
That's one of the reasons I do it, besides, just how much fun I have. But it's very rewarding to people that know us from what we do. And that's worked out really good for us.
I agree with you. But, so again, thanks for everybody who's downloaded. If you've downloaded every episode or you've downloaded 2, we appreciate it. We just hope that you, like you said, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all those places. If you just head over to tappedoutpod.com, you can find some homes. It's where you can listen to us on the podcast, servers. We greatly appreciate it. And, we've kind of turned a corner. We've gotten, the Patreon page is going up now. If you look at us, we do have the network as a whole has one at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. But then you've also got the Wrestling News Weekly, the Guerrilla Press, and, the Pro Wrestling Personified. They all have their own pages. You can support them directly. And start looking for some cool things and ideas. And, if you got some ideas of stuff you want to see on there.
Yeah, definitely.
If
you want to hear something, let us know.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it's just going to be me and Nick making up shit for y'all to listen to or to show you. But if you let us what you know, we might be able to serve you better on this, guys. So throw your ideas out there.
Because it's all about the fans. That's all that's important. And we, so with that, we're going to kind of move on from our, grateful session. And now we're going to crap on another group of fans.
Yes.
It was a great week in wrestling, by the way. Yeah. We had lots of stuff. We had between Money in the Bank, NXT TakeOver, Ring of Honor had a hell of a show, State of the Art this week. I mean, big things happening.
We were at a show Saturday night down at QT Marshall School, which was, I think, incredibly well produced and well run. And I was very happy, and I like being down there. It's such a beautiful place. You got to check this out, folks.
Especially, like I said, we're not going to throw a commercial in here, but if you're looking to train and you're in the Metro Atlanta area, the One Fall Power Factory is where we saw this, show. They put a show on in their training facility, and it was a great show. But it's a great place to learn from, guys who have been to the dance and who kind of can teach you how to be TV ready. So that's kind of what we're saying. But let's go ahead and jump into the fans that I kind of took some, like I said, we had this great week in wrestling. You try to be positive on Facebook. You try to be positive on Twitter. And it's just like, there's just a group of fans that just won't let you be. It's New Japan sucks or WWE sucks or Ring of Honor sucks. And you're just kind of like, who says? Like, in whose eyes? I mean, it was funny. I think Lewis maybe thought I was talking to him, but I wasn't really talking to him. I was venting to him when I said, something to the effect of, what about the 12-year-old who thinks that, or 10-year-old for that matter, that the WWE is the end-all be-all of what wrestling is? I mean, he doesn't get New Japan. He doesn't get Ring of Honor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a little girl I saw the picture of at Monday night. She was sitting in the audience at Raw, and when Alexa Bliss got put through a table, she really thought she was seriously hurt, and the child just cried and cried. Yeah, sometimes wrestling isn't for us. It's for other people. And let's let those people have something to enjoy. Because it's not all for the smarks and the guys and the old guys like us watching it. It's for the kids. And it's also to make Vince McMahon money, for Christ's sake. And he's big on that. So, occasionally, just let it be.
Well, what I was saying is, it's all about the style that you personally like.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, and here's the funny thing. We do a show where we kind of give our opinions and thoughts, and I will stress to you that I always say they're my opinions. I don't say that this promotion sucks or this promotion, is crap. I mean, I think I try to always, and if I ever say it wrong, correct me, because I really try to my best to basically just say it just didn't work for me.
Well, there were a couple of weeks ago where we said negative things about one of my favorite promotions, Anarchy, here in Georgia. Pretty much the place that spawned AJ Styles. I didn't like what they'd done at a show with the hardcore, and you didn't like it either. But we just said, that's not for us.
It was too much for us. It was just too much.
I didn't say it was too much for everybody in the audience. The audience clearly enjoyed it. But for me and you, too much. Exactly.
And then, I put up some tweets and some posts and, during Money in the Bank, and everybody's, we're getting feedback like, well, they suck. They don't deserve it. And I'm kind of like, who says? I mean, I guess have we grown to the age of, and this was hilarious coming from a guy who has a wrestling podcast, right? Where we say, you are no expert. I mean, just because, you watch, because like somebody made a comment of, well, who didn't see that coming? I'm like, okay, well, if you've watched wrestling for 20 years, there's many, many times you would have seen it coming. You can make predictions. I think I predicted, think about this. I predicted the winner of the Money in the Bank women's match and what would go on to happen later.
And you also predicted the winner of the men's, if I'm not mistaken. But you you still watched the pay-per-view.
Right, but it wasn't that. What did we were having lunch the other day, and I made the joke of if it was never ever predictable and everything was a swerve, Vince Russo would still be booking, and that's no slight on Vince Russo, who, because I enjoy some of the work he does over at Rocky Mountain Pro.
Yeah. The thing about Vince Russo is somebody who I like in small doses. I don't like all Vince Russo production. That's just my take on it. I like a little touch of Russo in there because that can keep it spiced up. I don't need it every single show and everything. But that's my preference. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean everybody doesn't. Hell, I don't like all this new rap music. People love that stuff. I don't listen to the radio. I just listen to podcasts. A lot of people don't want to listen to podcasts.
My wife
doesn't mean I'm stupid or they're stupid. It's just my girlfriend says, I just can't listen to people talk. I'm like, okay.
But all she wants to do is talk.
Yeah. So she's a big talker.
So you should come back to her and go, I just don't want to listen to you talk.
I've done something. I've worked that angle before, and I really didn't get swerved. I knew exactly what was coming to me.
Yeah, she was like, wait a minute, you are a human podcast.
Yes.
You're nothing but talking for an hour sometimes. But anywho, we'll get you out of trouble. But the long and the short of it was, I was trying to tell people, I don't understand why people waste their time on products that they basically say they can't stand watching. You're clearly watching because you're complaining about it.
And if you're watching, you're paying for the network to a pay-per-view. You're bitching about pay-per-view. You're paying to watch this.
And my argument was simple. If you don't like the WWE, unsubscribe from the service and quit watching it. Turn off USA, because you know what? Somebody's like, well, they're the only town. No, they're not the only game in town. You can watch Impact. You can watch Ring of Honor. You can watch New Japan. You can watch Major League Wrestling. MLW Fusion on BN Sports now. I mean, you can go to indie shows. I mean, we think about it. There's a Fight app. There's a Global Wrestling Network. There's Powerbomb TV. TV easy for me to say.
And YouTube, for Christ's sake.
There's a WWE Network. There's New Japan World. There's YouTube. I mean, Jesus, if you can find wrestling and watch nothing else ever, and you would not be watching the WWE.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's more content than you possibly could ever watch in a lifetime out there right now.
Right. So my thing is, quit wasting your time and complaining about a product you don't want. Now, if you're like, hey, if you were part of the solution, I get it. But again, everything's your opinion, and it's the same way as with us. Everything we say is our opinion.
Yes.
We're not wrong. You're not wrong, but don't state things like a fact, because then you can become wrong.
Yeah.
And that just kind of where it finally pushed me pushed me so far this week that when people are like, this person sucks, or my favorite one is this person deserves it. I'm like, why? It's make believe. I get it. There's plenty of actors out there that deserve Oscars, quote unquote, right? But who says? Again, it's the exact same thing. I like this person, so I think they should be, they should win an Oscar. Okay, well, I like this guy. He should be the champion. Okay, it doesn't make you right.
It's all subjective. It's your belief, your particular tastes. When Leva Bates was in town, and I was transferring her back and forth to the airport, she wanted to go, to K-pop stores. And you know what Myron really doesn't care for? K-pop. But I went because it made her extremely happy, and that's what she wanted to do. And it's like having kids. Do you want to sit there and watch Dora all day long? No. But you do something because you got a kid that wants to watch it. And you put up with it because it makes them happy. We got to live outside ourselves sometimes.
If nothing else, respect the fact that somebody's watching it.
Yeah.
2.5 million, 3 million people. I mean, how many subscribe? New Japan World's got tons of subscribers now. Yeah. So trust me. I mean, and I get it. Everybody turns around and thinks like I'm a WWE mark, and I'm like, dude, I like Impact. I like Ring of Honor. I like New Japan. Yeah. I like MLW Fusion. Mm-hmm. I like them all because I can look at all of them from a different, scope and go, oh, I get it. It's entertaining. Yeah. It's entertaining. Mm-hmm. I can also watch movies that are trash, and I'm not going to lie to you. I just want to see how the ending. Once I'm in so far, I got to see how the ending happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've watched so many junk movies in my life that nobody would ever want. I mean, some of my favorite movies are like Time Bandits, Death Race 2000,
Varsity Blues.
Just stuff that. I mean, nobody else would really care for. It's great. I love them. I find them enjoyable, relaxing, and just giving away my of disbelief. To me, it's worthwhile.
Right, and that's just it. Wrestling's the same way. There's plenty of product out there. We're going to end this rant because I could go forever, trust me. Just quit complaining about what you don't like. Just go find something that you like. There's too much product out there for you not to be watching something that you enjoy. And like we say, that's what Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sundays, hell, some promotions run during the week now. There's indie shows everywhere. Just look.
Yeah. And if you need help finding indie shows, just ask me and I'll put you into somebody. I'll put you in touch with the wrestlers who'll help you find a show for you and something you'll like. It's not hard, folks.
Right.
Well, I have so many shows I can't go to because we're so busy, either with work or to go to other shows.
Yeah. Well,
no shortage here in Atlanta, and I guarantee Atlanta is not the exception to the rule.
Well, my argument is you got all those other, like we said, those like the Fight app. There's so much free stuff on the Fight app. There's again.
Oh, I love the Fight app.
Argument over.
And the Fight TV. That's when you use it from your computer, which is great.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Like I said, we were going to end that because, and I'm sure if anybody disagrees, and tappedoutpod@gmail.com, send the hate mail there. I'm sure I'll read plenty of them this week. But, speaking, again, we're going to have a new product, by the way. WWE NXT UK is officially announced by Triple H this week.
I think that's an awesome, awesome thing.
I agree with you, man. They've got a GM and Johnny Saint, who's a freaking icon over there.
Yeah.
So they put a face with the product. Think about that. They can't go wrong. I mean, you're going to have somebody that when they talk, people are going to listen.
Yep.
They're going to do tapings July 28th, 29th, August, easy for me to say, August 25th, 26th, October 13th, 14th, and November 24th, 25th. It's going to be like a series they're going to do. They're going to have...
And there's a UK show going on right now.
Yeah, they're doing some tapings and stuff right now. Absolutely.
Just hide the spoilers, people. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, spoilers. Why necessary to throw those out there? I mean, I get it. If you want to find them, you can find them, right? Mm-hmm. Just don't put them out there for everybody, because we caught one spoiler that we were like, man, I wish I didn't know. But you got the UK titles going to be there, and they also announced they're going to be adding a tag division and a women's champion. All for this UK division. So basically, you're getting the next evolution in NXT territories, maybe is the word we want to look for.
And I think that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing that we're getting a territory.
Do you think it's the first of many?
I certainly hope so. Man, imagine what it's like. They get a star who's stale, and they send them off somewhere to get a new perspective or a new tune-up. They go out there and they work on this territory for 6 months, and you forgot about them if you don't watch that show on the network. And at times you come back to Raw, like Sami Zayn, if he hadn't got injured, he wasn't getting anywhere. All his storylines to me were horrible. So they had the opportunity to send him away to this, and he'd come back fresh with a little bit different gimmick or a little bit different character.
And he'd be a huge star, by the way, when he went there.
Yes, he'd be the biggest star in their territory. And so he could get all that. He could be over there. It's a no-brainer, man. Territories were good for wrestling back in the day. You got more different content. You got more variety. And you didn't see everything everybody did. So I think it's great.
I'll ask you, do you also think this is a necessary evil, maybe, with all of the talent that they're signing up?
Why are they signing all the talent? And I'm not holding against the talent, because the talent need to get out there. I mean, the reason they're doing this is to be successful and make money. You know, it's one thing to love wrestling, but you have the opportunity to make money at it. And that's great. And so you get these contracts with all the big money, and the WB is signing them all. But then you get, why they sign them all? What are they going to do for them? They're not Pokemon, you know. You got to work them.
Well, here's the thing, man. Anybody who says they're into wrestling for any other thing other than to make money, I think, is kind of lying to themselves. Because you want to do it for a living. Mm-hmm. You gotta have to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. You kind of have to make any money. You see what I'm saying, right? That you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you're not making any money, you can't keep doing it because you got to pay the bill. So therefore, voila. I mean, that's what they're in it for. And if they're going to pay you the most money, that's where you're going to go. Now, I get if it's close, you might go somewhere else where you've got a little more artistic freedom. You know, I get it. You know, but we joked about it. We had heard the rumors that with here we go off tangent, which was what we do, right? You know, well, it'll lead us into the next topic anyway. We had heard rumor, you know, that now that the WWE has this Fox money coming, you know, next year, they're just going to, you know, I mean, what's to stop them from just throwing a freaking absolutely ridiculous contract at the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega? And
there's nothing to stop them.
I mean, think about it. There's nothing that, I mean, we're talking the kind of money because, you know, trust me, I always tell people, it's easy to say on principle you're not going to do something. You know, you wouldn't do it for so much money. There's a difference between theoretical money and money right in front of you.
Yeah.
And if there comes a deal like, we'll pay you $1 million this year, and you're only making $400,000, I don't know what they're making, so don't nobody jump down our throat.
Yeah.
You know, if they're making $1 million, if they push $2 million in front of them, it's hard to turn that down.
Yep.
Because you can sit there and go, I could wrestle for the next 10 years. Think about this. Kenny Omega can look at himself. Let's say and this again, hypotheticals. He's making $500,000, and Vince says, "I'll pay you $1 million." You look at it, and truth be told, God bless him. I think this is eventually what happens with an AJ Styles. You want to be the best wrestler in the world. You want to go to Japan, and you want to go to Ring of Honor, do all this stuff. But if you're making $500,000 and somebody slides over $1 million in front of you, you look at it realistically and go, I can wrestle half the time. I don't need to wrestle for another 10 years. I can wrestle for 5 and make the same amount of money. And when you're a wrestler and you take that beating week after week after week, guess what? You start thinking about those type of things.
Yeah, definitely. You can't help it. I mean, how could you not think about how can I be better, or how can I'm going to be doing this already. I can do this in front of 15,000 people a night, or I can do it in front of 15 people a night. You know?
I don't even think it's that. I mean, sit there and think about, Myron, if somebody else walked in your job tomorrow and told you we're going to pay you twice as much, you could retire in half the time, and your body's not even, it kind of is actually when you think about it, but your body's not getting beat down like that. You kind of have to start thinking long term.
I'm already done. I mean, I'm already in. Where do I sign?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
seriously, I 100%. I got you on that, man.
Yeah,
100%.
So that's what I mean by that, of the whole argument of, yes, like there is an amount of money that you'll do anything, and people, Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. They do.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
And we won't even get into the scenarios that I've had, like your friends and your brothers, well, would you do this for this much money? I'm like, again, hypothetical monies, it's easy to say no.
Yeah.
If somebody slid a briefcase in front of you money, you'd be surprised at how low you would do stuff for it.
Because McMahon's got that kind of money, He's got the slide a briefcase in front of you money. He is the one you'd have to. That's the legitimate competition right there. That's the guy. That's the one who can lure everybody in.
Yeah. So and anyway, while we're having all of this, how does this happen? We're having this conversation about New Japan guys and WWE. Triple H comes out this week and says he's completely open to cross promotion with WWE and New Japan. So we all say that there's going to come a day when Triple H is in charge. So when it happens, not if, it's when, Triple H is in charge. What about a WWE New Japan Super Show? How crazy would that be?
Here's your issue with that. Vince isn't dead yet. And I really love Triple H. Everybody, people call him the son-in-law and people bash on him. He was one of my favorite wrestlers, and he is, to me, one of the best minds in wrestling today. I would love to see all this stuff where you did crossovers. Like, remember when Marvel and DC did crossover comics? How cool that was. But as long as Vince is around, real simple, it's not going to happen. But Triple H can make this happen, so that's cool. It would be good for business for everybody. But then when you look at it, it's wrestling, so you can't do, it's work finishes. So you'd have to book it 50-50, for anybody to be able to get off clean in it. So.
Well, no, you can do WWE versus WWE, New Japan versus New Japan on like undercard, and just kind of think about it. A rematch between Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. But it's the WWE Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega.
Okay.
I mean, you can do that. They've already had a match, so it's not like it's beyond the realm of happening. There's matches out there. I mean, and sit there and say, Jericho's going to put Kenny Omega over again. We need you to get one of your guys who's willing to put over this guy or that guy or whatever. I don't ever doubt that that's possible. You know why? Because if there's money to be made, eventually, if it was a big enough deal, Vince could do. I mean, think about like if Vince really wants to do a show in Japan and do a joint show where they can draw like 100,000 people in one of those buildings or something crazy.
Well, that seems to be his big idea now, is those 100,000 people shows.
It seems like he's trying to everywhere, right? But so anywho, that but anyway, I'm sorry. I want to come back to that before we move on. Because, everybody's like, well, it'll never happen. Well, they allowed the New Day and the Bucks, and Kenny Omega to have their E3 segment.
Yeah.
I mean, there was interaction there. They did a hidden gem.
That was cool.
It was cool.
I could use more of it. I'd watch more of it. I mean, it's good news. To me, that's the good news kind of wrestling stuff.
And, everybody's like, well, they're not going to let... Kenny Omega was a hidden gem on the WWE Network this week.
Yeah.
So, they're not opposed to... not to be off topic, but we both watched the Matt Hardy, the Hardys 24, which we both loved, and they outright again advertised the Global Wrestling Network again.
Yeah, that was pretty sharp, man. It was well produced, and it wasn't like separated up. It wasn't... How do I phrase this? It was very well done as far as not putting over. Sorry, I phrased that. Let me go back. I phrased it all wrong. It did not bashed TNA. It said good things about them. It advertised their network. And didn't have to shit on them. It didn't put them, it didn't make them the biggest talk about like it was the best thing there was, but they didn't shit on them. And I think it did great. It looked like a quality produced, number one, like Netflix style documentary on the WWE network.
Tough to watch a little bit, but Matt Hardy even said that it was tough to watch. It
was very tough. It was not not an easy thing at times, but I think it was very well done. It was well written. It was well shot. I got no complaints at all with it. I recommend it to anybody, even if you're not a wrestling fan.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, we'll check it out if you're not on the WWE Network. Obviously, the WWE 24, it was the Woken Hardys, I think is what it's called. Definitely check it out. But we were talking about how, New Japan and New Japan and WWE, down the road could work together. Well, apparently they're not working very nice together right now with Ring of Honor.
No.
Ring of Honor.
That's the thing.
Yeah. The news coming out is that Ring of Honor was supposed to have a show at some point. The rumor was it was the night before WrestleMania or something, the WrestleMania week at Madison Square Garden. But they have been since told that due to communications with WWE, they have basically backed out. Joe Koff says they don't have a show there. Don't have a future date. Nothing. They're just completely kind of basically been left out. Litigation may come. It may not come. Who knows? But basically WWE blocked them out of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Madison Square Garden was frustrated with WWE because they were running at Barclays all the time. And I don't know if the WWE promised them bigger money, or I don't know if there was some kind of contract deal involved. There was rumors that Ring of Honor was going to get lawyers involved. But, man, they blocked them out of the all-time most famous stadium in the world. And a competitor. It's getting close to monopoly there, Vince. And I know that's all you've always wanted, but...
Well, I think WWE's running the show there July 15th, I believe. Maybe they promised them more live shows versus TV shows, because we've heard, it's expensive to run the Garden. The unions and everything, it's tough to do. Now, AAA, as of right now, they still apparently have their date in the fall, which we'll see. Maybe Vince doesn't look at them the same way. It's not an American-based company. I don't know that he thinks AAA is going to make a move into the U.S.
But if he does, I don't like their luck, man. I wouldn't want to go up against Vince if I were them. If he decides you're a competition, you're out of luck. That's just all there is to it. He's that powerful.
And, he's going to – you don't want to say he's going to win, but it seems like he wins most of the time.
Yep.
Eventually they get their way, and it looks like there's another thing heading down the path here. Rey Mysterio is in negotiations. This has been going on, by the way, for a while. This isn't, new. Since he kind of reemerged at the Royal Rumble back in January. The rumors have just been crazy that he's coming back.
Every week there's a new one, yeah.
Yeah, well, he was going to be at Impact for a while. He was, he was in Aero Lucha at the tapings. I think it was last night or whatever night it was. Apparently, though, the big hang-up was that because Lucha Central's saying this is pretty much looks like it's going to happen. WWE wanted a full-time schedule. He wants a part-time schedule. Looks like he's going to get a part-time schedule. Because even, he was honored, June 19th, 619, get it? He was honored for a little holiday in San Diego, kind of where he's from, and he mentioned this deal himself at that event, and apparently Triple H is spearheading the whole deal. So guess what's going to happen? This deal's probably going to work out.
Yep.
So, are you excited to see Rey maybe come back?
In small doses. That was something I was listening to when I was listening to 83 Weeks, the Dusty Rhodes episode. And I'm going to go ahead and just reference it. Where they figured out how they could take big stars and then run them in, give them a contract, run them in for a couple times a week, a couple times a year, to make appearances, and they can make a lot of money off of it that way. And I think that's great. And I think that's perfect for what they're doing now. They can take The Rock or somebody like that, and every time they bring him in, it's a pop taker. And they realize that early, and that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. It's a pretty big deal, and I'm really happy to see that Rey is becoming one of those guys. I don't need to see Rey every week. I don't need to see Rey getting hurt. But a Rey run down into Battle Royal, or a Rey run down here, or Rey getting involved in the 205 match, just randomly, that's great. That's surprise. That's exciting. So I'm big over for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is where do you put him? I mean, because if Rey comes back, he's a top-tier name. I mean, you're going to have to pay him top-tier money, part-time schedule. I mean, you throw him over right now on him. They're not going to, by the way. Throw him over on SmackDown. They're going to probably put him on Raw because he's a big, the name. But guess what?
Well, that's all going to change.
But, I was going to say, put him over on Fox. Yeah. Because Rey, as nothing else, has proven he will draw the Hispanic market. And, man, that's on a broadcast television channel, that could be money. That could be money.
Well, that's a huge market, and they all love wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, I did not mean to generalize a whole race of people like that. But for the most part, wrestling is a very big thing in the Hispanic community. So, yeah, you'd be a fool not to get him. He failed with Alberto Del Rio twice, and that might be just because of Alberto. But if you've got a great Hispanic star like that, you can make tons of money.
Yeah, he's not going to fail with Mysterio. If they get Mysterio back in, that's not only because does he draw the merch with the masks and things like that. I mean, he's a money making machine.
Yeah.
Somebody who was given the boot today. No pun intended. Big Cass released. Apparently there was a little private meeting at SmackDown, and he was given his walk-in papers. He wasn't even given their best in his future endeavors. Which
you did not get future endeavors, man. That's pretty harsh. But if you want to look at the three guys who have worked with Camilla since she came to the main roster, Enzo and Cass, or they were NXT also. Both of them are gone. Ellsworth is back. The difference between Ellsworth and Big Cass and Enzo, in my personal opinion, is his attitude. He'll work with them, and he'll do what they ask, and he'll do things. He'll make stupid. He does shit that's humiliating. But the money he makes is not humiliating. And every time he gets popped, he goes up higher in his indie buildings. It's good for him. He's a smart guy. Cass had a bad attitude. Enzo had behavioral issues, apparently. But you look at those two guys, you look at Ellsworth, and they keep working with him. So it says a lot about you don't have to be 7 foot tall. You don't have to be the world's best talker. Sometimes in life, your attitude and your willingness to work with the people who have the money makes a lot bigger difference. I think that's a solid example of how things work in the real world.
Meltzer's claims that this probably stems back to the little person incident that happened a while back. Here's my thing. I never want people to lose their jobs. I'm this guy. If it was fired for this incident, he got in some trouble and he couldn't handle it, or he couldn't shake it, or the stigma, the bad reputation. It's real simple. Go to the Indies in 90 days because he's going to have that 90-day non-compete we talked about.
Yeah.
But go out there, work hard, polish yourself. I mean, hell, go to Impact. Go to, he ain't going to Ring of Honor. I mean, I hate to say that. He could, but I don't think so.
Well, Ring of Honor is more about good, quality in-the-ring product.
Yeah.
And he can't talk either, so.
But you can move him to Impact. He's going to have to be give him a mouthpiece. I mean, because, I was talking to Lewis about this. If you haven't heard, by the way, Lewis does our Impact show that comes out on Mondays, the Pro Wrestling Personified podcast. He breaks down Impact a whole hell of a lot better than I do, for sure. But anyway, we were talking about this, and he asked me, what did I think? And I'm like, look, for one thing, it's no pun. I said it, and I really wasn't intending to be funny. I'm like, dude, he's 7 foot tall. I mean, he's a big dude. The
man loves those guys.
Right. I'm like, but him, the whole you can't teach that. That was literally my point to him was go to Impact. A lot of the guys in Impact aren't that big.
Mm-mm.
I said he will be a monster there. He will, there are some guys that are his height, but he would be a monster among most guys there.
I'd put a mask on him and redo the whole Super Machines gimmick or something like that. Have fun. I mean, have some fun. But speaking of Impact, they've got a lot of new things going, and they've got a lot of new people. They've got development going on all the time, and they're embracing the indies and guys who didn't make it so big in WWE, but they've been able to really get something out of them. Is impressive. They've been able to make a product with guys that didn't work anywhere else.
And they could, and that was my thing. I mean, would I take a shot on him? Yeah. I mean, look for his sheer size. I mean, he could be somebody's muscle. I mean, because let's be blunt, he worked best when he was with Enzo. I mean, everybody can say what they want. He did. And I think that would be a good opportunity is put him with somebody down there who can talk. And that would be, a good matchup. He doesn't have to be, I'm not saying he has to be a tag wrestler. He could be a singles guy, but just have somebody be the mouthpiece for him. And that would generally work in my opinion. So, you got to put somebody out in front. Sometimes you got to have a mouthpiece. But real quick before we move on, I mean, the WWE has picked their mouthpiece for their video game this year.
Yep.
The poster boy, the cover boy, AJ Styles makes the cover. You think, I'm going to ask you this before we even get to the meat of it. As a gamer, he's got to really be digging this.
AJ is a serious gamer, and I love that, I love to see somebody who actually is going to be playing the game on the game. That's amazing.
They're doing a contest. I don't know if you saw this. I just happened to see this. So if I have the details, it was on Facebook. So, while I was doing something. So if I don't have it 100% accurate, don't butcher me here.
Yeah.
But they're doing some type of a contest you can enter to win, and then you can play AJ to win $1 million or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
you
cool.
You can beat AJ at it. That's impressive, and that's putting your money where your mouth is. That's a great backing concept.
AJ's going to be playing the hell out of this game, by the way, just so people know.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to go up against a game with him, because he even has that little portable where he can take his console on a plane.
Yeah, I got a feeling he's going to have an advanced copy of this game, so he can play the hell out of it and get good at it. So whoever wins is probably going to get their ass handed to him.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Oh, and the point I meant to make during the during the Impact thing that I got myself off track. Eli Drake re-signed with him.
Well, it's a short-term deal though, isn't it? It's only for it's not a long-term deal.
It doesn't matter. He was smart enough to realize that there's too crowded in the WWE right now. He's going to stay smart and make his money where he's at now and wait for if he's going to go, he'll wait for a different chance when he's got more of an opportunity. There's too many people there. There's no reason to try to go up there right now. It's too crowded. He was a guy that could have got lost in the match because there's probably 4 or 5 other guys just like him there right now. And he's doing great in Impact, man. He's a super cool guy. He's a great wrestler, and he's over there. So,
I mean, but that's what they, that's what they have. That's what they have NXT for, because you got an opportunity there. I mean, let's sidebar off onto Takeover this week. I mean, for one, you're bringing it up, so I'll say we'll start there. I mean, Kieth Lee debuts, and not as a match, but he appears for the first time on the NXT Takeover. For one, I want to ask you, is this played out the way they're just basically constantly every time somebody's there, they're in the crowd?
I love it. Where they've got that guy out in the crowd that shows you who just signed. Yeah, because, we haven't seen EC3 the capacity we wanted to see him, but they'll be there. That's a great way to introduce people. Drew Galloway did it that way. And, look at him now. He's Mr. Badass up on the main roster.
Oh, yeah, so. But I'm telling you right now, my prediction's going out.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Lee is going to be an Impact player in NXT. His size, his strength, it's going to be hard for most to compete in the ring with that guy.
Well, they they moved their monsters up. They moved up Sanity and the Killian Dane. They moved up the Authors of Pain. They needed new monsters. And that's what he's good at. He's a badass guy who can move. So that's great.
I mean, that's, like I said, we've watched him. We've seen him up close and personal, and I mean, that's no exaggeration. The dude's a beast. I mean, the strength is uncanny.
Yeah. His movements is amazing.
Yeah, if you haven't, for whatever reason, if you have not seen Kieth Lee, go to YouTube and put in Kieth Lee, pro wrestling or wrestler or something, and see the stuff he does. It'll blow your mind. That tackle he does, does, it's just insane. But he also on that card, we saw why some people, and I mean, when I say some, a lot of people consider NXT to be the promotion, because 2 matches on that card. I know everybody's going to talk about all the other stuff, and that's fine. We don't have time to go match by match.
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream and Ricochet are money together. It's real simple. Dream just oozes charisma. The guy everybody seems to be on board with. Finn Balor, John Cena, everybody's on board. The kid's going to be coming to the roster at some point, and I hope they don't mess that up.
Yeah.
Ricochet is easily one of the most athletic people I've ever seen in a ring. Would you agree with that?
He is amazing. I just wonder and I worry, and this is what really worries me, if Velveteen has a gimmick that's going to translate. I don't know if he'll have a gimmick. Do you think it'll work on the main roster, or do you think most people won't get it?
I do.
Or you think people won't get it?
No, I think people will get it.
Okay.
Because, the way he's willing to adapt it, maybe is the word I'm looking for. The little subtleties that the smart fans will get. And then just, the character, I don't want to call it's Prince, but that's the way I kind of described it to my wife.
Well, yeah.
I say it's the charisma of Prince is the best way I can give you. I mean, but he had on Prince Puma's tights, Ricochet's tights, that never made it to wrestling. He was wearing those in that match. He does the boa. He has the the Dream still rules, the Hogan shirt. He ripped it off like Hogan. I mean, he knows his crowd. He's good. Again, in my opinion. So they've got the athletic, just matches like that. And then easily Gargano and Ciampa prove that they could be the best feud going in pro wrestling right now. The matches are just brutal. They actually have legit heat and legit, babyface, and they're just beating the hell out of each other.
It's very believable. Very, very believable. It's something that you can relate to. It's something, it's convincing.
If you ever had your friend stab you in the back, then there you go.
Yeah.
You understand the feelings. Guess what? You're emotionally invested in it.
And personal things make money. That's just the way wrestling works.
It's all about emotion. It ain't about the moves, and that was another thing that I had an argument with somebody about, which we won't go into. Real quick because we got to get rolling. I have just dawned on how long we're running. WWE announces their Super Showdown October 6th. It's at the Melbourne Crickets, arena thing they got.
Melbourne Cricket Ground. Melbourne
Cricket Grounds. We can't say it because you know why? Because we don't understand cricket.
It's like underhand baseball. It's like softball or something. I really don't know.
If somebody wants to come on and teach us, the rules of cricket, awesome. All I know, it's a really big stadium. It's like 100,000 seats.
It's popular all over the other side of the world, like soccer is.
Oh yeah, no, I know it's big over there. I've seen it on TV, believe it or not, on ESPN the Ocho before. But could the show break the record? I mean, that's kind of the things like you were talking about earlier. Vince likes these big arenas. It seems like he just did the greatest Royal Rumble. Now they're going to go do this show. I mean, they've already announced Triple H versus Undertaker for the last time ever. That's the start of a draw.
Yeah. Well, he likes to be able to say, I can draw 100,000 people. You can't draw 10, but I can draw 100. That's his way. He's just, he's just that guy. He likes to have something dynamite. He likes to have something big he can show off. That's just Vince. It's always been Vince.
And no offense, he likes to have the paychecks that are coming with these big shows, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So it always goes back to that. I heard, I think it was on, we're not going to sidebar on this. I'm just going to ask. Bruce Pritchard on one of the Something to Wrestle said that analysts told them that they believe the WWE stock was $100 stock.
Stock analysts?
This was back when they went public. Way back when, and they're like, if this is a $100 stock, why are we releasing it at like $17? And they're like, because it's going to take a long time to get to 100, but we believe this is a $100 stock long term. By the way, analysts are saying this stock may see $100 because it's at $66 today.
Wow!
And now that's insane. As Bruce Pritchard put it, and I said it to somebody, I said $66. Potentially $100 stock for a wrestling company.
Wow.
By the way, you wanted me to put this in perspective for you? Exxon's at 80. And WWE's knocking 66.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So people laugh all they want, and wrestling is a business, especially in the Vince McMahon world. It's a business. So that's kind of what people need to wrap their mind around when they're talking about, well, I don't like this kind of wrestling. I prefer my wrestling like this, or that's awesome. But Vince McMahon apparently knows what the world wants, and the casual fan wants it. And we'll move on. I'm not going to go back.
He knows how to make money, is basically
right. And this show, I guarantee you, this show's not happening if there's not a big paycheck involved. And it just is what it is. But speaking of big shows, this was a hell of a weekend, and we're really running long already. And we haven't even gotten to Money in the Bank, Raw, or SmackDown. So we're going to really do a rapid shot through all of this whole weekend. Because truth be told, you can do it. It's not that hard, guys. Let's start with we're going to do it like we always do, where we combine the events that are important from Money in the Bank into Raw and the events that are important to SmackDown and SmackDown. Makes our life simple. Number one, Braun Strowman wins the Money in the Bank. I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he just comes in and we knew the carnage. Poor Kevin Owens gets thrown off of that monster ladder. He runs through another ladder and basically just demolishes everybody to take that briefcase home.
Yep. Looked great. It was awesome.
I agree with you, man. And, and then on Raw, he comes out and says, all Brock Lesnar's got to do is show up. And he's ready.
And I believe it 100% with him. I 100% believe that he'll cash the first opportunity he gets. That's awesome.
Do you think they'll have an angle where Brock's in the ring and Braun starts to come out, and believe it or not, Brock leaves? So he can't cash in.
That'd be different, man. If he showed that, if he started showing that side, you really think, oh, man.
Because you know how Brock's always said, we fight on, he's done this before, kind of, where he's backed out and said, we fight on my terms. It's not that he's scared. He's just like, I'm not fighting you now. We're going to fight on my terms.
Yeah, he fights like somebody who books fights like for, what you call it, MMA.
Right.
So
we had that happen. Then, to me, one of the most interesting things that happened over the whole weekend and then week, Alexa Bliss wins the women's Money in the Bank.
Yep.
But unlike Carmella last year, who carried that thing forever, Alexa cashes it in that same night.
Bam.
In the midst of, by the way, Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax, I thought were doing a very good job. They were having a great match.
It was an amazing match. It could possibly be my WWE match of the year, in my opinion. The only match I've seen in 2018 better is Angels and AC Mack. Alan Angels and AC Mack at NXT or NCW. Sorry guys. That was a phenomenal match. But Nia Jax, nobody would assume. Okay, nobody would assume Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey could put on that match. Okay? Nobody would assume they put on that match, but look at it. The two of them put on a phenomenal technical match. They threw in a lot of emotional, hard, believable type wrestling, old school type stuff. It was great. And then when Alexa Bliss cashed in, it was just so awesome. Yeah, I gotta, that's, to me, was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time.
I mean, Rousey sold. Rousey, she looked vicious when she got on a roll. I mean, she looked the part. The crowd was into her. They all thought the crowd was. Everybody had read going into that the Chicago crowd was going to crap all over her. They didn't. They bought hook, line, and sinker. And by the way, the next night on Raw, when Angle is in the ring with Bliss and they're talking and, Bliss is running her mouth, man, when Rousey came down, she did not have that smile, she looked like she was legit
was so
pissed.
Intense.
Yeah.
Yes. Wailed on Alexa with that briefcase. Hit Kurt Angle with the briefcase.
Even the moves, the judo throw on Angle, picking up
How
Bliss.
was that judo throw on Nia, though?
That was pretty impressive the night before.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, friend of the show, or the network, I shouldn't say, Nick Cutler even put it on his Twitter. For her stage and where she's at in her career, people need to respect the fact of how far she is, how far advanced she is in her career.
Yeah.
As far as wrestling, actual wrestling.
She's a natural. She picked that up.
Well,
super quick.
I was as critical as anybody. Now, not of her moves, by the way. All of her matches, I think she's done a pretty good job. Now, the promos, she's had her moments where she needs it. My thing is I'm going to gamble that they probably pre-shot those backstage promos, which would be a great idea, by the way, because it kind of it takes that stress off of her.
Yeah.
As far as getting it right or whatever. But man, the moves, she looked good. The presence looked good. The pop that she got on Raw. I mean, I sat there and said something to somebody and said, look, she's over. Whether people want to admit it, whether people like it, it doesn't matter. She's over, and the crowd gave her the response that the WWE was looking for. How about that? They got the reaction they wanted, and she's over, man. I don't know what else to say.
How about this? They actually totally have changed my current attitude on the WWE. From a week or two ago, it was bleh. Now it's I'm so excited to see this stuff again. They did it with one great pay-per-view and then two good wrestling shows afterwards.
And blew our mind. Everybody talked about predictable. That was one of the complaints we got. This was too predictable. How about Dolph Ziggler beating Seth Rollins on Raw?
Nope. That was not predictable. That was a out of the blue win for somebody you wouldn't expect to put the belt on a TV show, not a He didn't do it on a pay-per-view.
I think that's
what TV show.
That may be what surprised me the most. It was that it's not like I can't see Dolph beating Seth for the title, just not on Raw. Not just not that out of the blue.
Yep, it said, okay, open challenge, called him out, he challenged and he beat him. That's awesome. That's the way it used to feel to me. That was exciting and unpredictable right there.
And you know what's crazy? I know Dolph had the tights, but Seth can't even complain because that's how he beat Elias.
Yeah.
So you're kind of laughing and you're chuckling going, he can't really complain about it. So, only other thing that I had on notes on Raw was I got a huge chuckle, by the way. The shot of Bo Dallas with that beard and that Bray Wyatt outfit looking on.
Yeah, that was killer.
It made me laugh. It made Bray Wyatt laugh. If you caught the shot in the ring, he was chuckling. It just was very, very funny, by the way.
It was killer, man. It was solid. It was a good bit. I enjoyed that. It was funny. It was good old-fashioned wrestling humor. So, yeah, I love that.
And he looked just like him. That was the crazy part. With the beard, it was like, dude, he looks just like him. And I'm like, well, it is his brother, so that would make sense, right?
Yep.
So let's go ahead and move into SmackDown. really, and this is funny, the only big note that come out of Money in the Bank, is, to me, in my opinion, by the way, is that AJ defeats Shinsuke at the pay-per-view, which kind of surprised us both. We both got that one wrong. I think we both thought that Shinsuke was going to.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go with it. But, the good part about that is it frees those two up to go on and do something else. Now you've got Rusev and him, AJ, and then you've got Shinsuke Nakamura and
Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy, which is awesome. And Jeff Hardy put on his face paint again, which is awesome.
Do you think that at the last minute, maybe there was doubt that Shinsuke cutting promos as the WWE champion?
Well, yeah. And he's still doing that whole, I don't speak English bit, which I'm still not, 100% sure about that, but who knows?
So is it funnier if he gets the U.S. title? That's the whole punchline of this joke. Is it funnier if he beats Jeff Hardy for the United States title doing the no speak English thing?
I think it would be funny. Yeah, I do think it'd be funny. I'd like to see what happens, man. I want to see this rivalry because I was tired. I was seriously tired of the rivalry between him and AJ. So now we've got something different.
The funny thing is we did get probably their better match to end the feud. Yeah. It was a good match. So, I did like that one. So, and like you said, now for some reason on the go-to to get a number one contender is either a battle royal or a gauntlet match on Raw and SmackDown. That's kind of how they do it. And we get a gauntlet match on SmackDown this week. Rusev ends up winning. So, like I said, it looks like we got the face-off between Rusev and AJ coming at Extreme Rules, and I don't really know if there's much to it. I think it's probably a one-off at Extreme Rules. I don't think they're going to run with Rusev.
Who knows? I never can tell what they're going to book with Rusev because it changes a little bit back and forth. Now, this is a good bit to change up your rivalry, get some new matches, but when it comes down to this whole Battle Royal or Gauntlet match, which one is your favorite?
Neither.
I don't like Gauntlet matches at all.
The Gauntlet match is stupid because, like, for example, Daniel Bryan's number one. He beats Big E. He beats Samoa Joe. You know what I mean? After a while, you're kind of like, okay, I mean.
I'm sure that Daniel Bryan was going to win that.
Right, because they're preaching the whole, like, legs, lungs, and whatever.
Yeah. Little lungs and a great big one. I hate that commercial.
Yeah, so, Daniel Bryan being, messed up, Miz eliminates him, but after he's taken a beating by the Bludgeon Brothers, maybe Daniel Bryan's about to have a feud, maybe, because he had a feud remember he was in a feud with the Wyatt family way back when. Maybe they're still holding a grudge. I don't know.
Well, yeah, or no, or I don't know. I don't know enough about Daniel Bryan to be able to really to contribute on that because, and especially the whole
the weirdness of the Bludgeon Brothers, why they would even do it. And, and SmackDown got weirder because the group Sanity finally kind of has their big coming out party by basically squashing the former tag team champion Usos.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense at all to me. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. I can't really say
it's a quick rub.
For it.
I mean, it puts them over.
Yeah, it's a real quick rub. Yeah. I guess that's what happened. That's the only thing I can say. That's the only reason I could say it would happen. It had to be. A quick rub.
Usos just weren't ready for that game, man.
Oh, God. When they start talking that shit, it drives me crazy. I'm not going to lie.
You're just not hip, Myron. That's your drawback, man.
I am as unhip as possible, and not on purpose. It's just been that way.
That's just the way. That's just life is the way it is, man.
Yeah.
That's everything I got. I know we wanted to throw out there. Congratulations, John Cena apparently settled his lawsuit with Ford. That's the way you do it, brother. You just settle it in a court, I think the ultimate...
And the settlement's going to charity, too.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. Then they ultimately decide that basically the money's going to go to charity. So everybody's happy. He made a little statement. So he settles with Ford. He's going to reverse his vasectomy, apparently, and going to get Nikki to marry him. He's going to have kids. So this was a very big giving...
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Brother, don't. That's what I tell him. He's too old to have kids.
And he's got a really good life. Not that kids would ruin that, but, hold on, I'm not saying that. That sounds horrible.
Yeah. But kudos, congratulations if that's what you choose to do. Me personally, at that age, I wouldn't do it. But, I love my kids.
I'd jump off something. Yeah, but I'm too old to raise kids. I know he's in better shape than Myron is, but for Christ's sake, man, raising kids at what is he, 40?
Man, when you hit the late 30s, early 40s, it's too late. People go, no, it's not. Yes, it is. You'll be exhausted. Yeah, especially if you don't have kids, man, that 3 a.m. crying to change a diaper or feed a baby sucks.
Yeah.
People talk about how much trust me, I love my kids. I really do. But I did not enjoy waking up at 3 a.m. to feed them or change a diaper.
Yes, I 100% with that. Thank God I only had to go through that with one of them.
Yeah.
The other one I got fully assembled.
Exactly. I got my third one. She was at least quasi-assembled.
Yeah.
She wasn't still using the bathroom in her pants or anything like that. But anywho, that's everything I got on my notes, man. I know you always somehow I missed some of your notes. What do you got over there? Have we missed anything?
I think you did a very good job of running the show tonight because you got all everybody's notes and we still got in on time, even with a bunch of
sidebars, tangents,
and crap and sidebars. I loved it. It's always good to do this kind of stuff, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, like I said, if you disagree or agree or you just want to have your voice, voice your opinion, you can always find us. Go to Twitter at TappedOutPod. You can check us out, obviously, on Facebook at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network or tappedoutpod@gmail.com is the easiest way to email us. So any of those things, they're easy to find. Go to tappedoutpod.com. We've told you that before. Because why? Because the media player's there. You can listen to all the episodes we've ever had. Plus, by the way, you can also find there the links to iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, et cetera, all of the places, that you can kind of hunt us down. And that's really not all of them, but the big ones are there. If you go into your Google machine and just type our name, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, you'll find a whole lot more that I don't even know that exist.
Oh wow! Because all this stuff pops up, and if you go into YouTube too, there's all kind of Tapped Out stuff on there.
Oh,
it's
God,
great, man!
Absolutely. And again, because we've asked before we get out of here, we'll say it again. We're looking at things that add to the Patreon pages. What would you like to see? I mean, we've joked about it. Hey, do you want us to record us, video live recording the shows and you can actually see us doing these shows?
Yeah.
And how much fun we have. How about this? What if we recorded the conversations we have right before we air and put that on the Patreon page?
That'd be a good thing. I think a lot of people enjoy some of the bullshit we go through.
Exactly. Because guess what, folks? We can talk for an hour, and most of the time it ain't about wrestling. So it's a pretty, we'd probably have to try.
Even our wrestling talk is still, it's still a lot of good stuff in there too.
Yeah, because sometimes we don't talk about the stuff on the air.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we could do. So, because like I said, some stuff we talk about, we're going like, might be a little too edgy to put on the podcast. Well, let's not put it there. So. Anywho, but again, we gave you all those, but if you want to email it, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. That's an easy way to put a place to send any suggestions for that kind of stuff. We greatly appreciate it. Again, before we wrap out and get out of here, I'm the one giving up the wrap up signals and I'm about to go long again. We just want to say thank you once again. 500 episodes. Pretty proud. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
I'm real happy, folks. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. Thank you, Nick, for starting this whole podcast and giving me something that has brought me an incredible amount of fun and my old years, my latter years. Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you along for the ride. And again, thanks to Lewis, thanks to John, thanks to Sam, Eric, Anthony, Nathan. I got to go on and on, the DDT Archives guys. On and on and on. All the guys who have been a part of this ride. 500 episodes we're pretty proud of. But Myron, I'll let you have the honors, man. After 500 episodes, what time is it?
Time to tap out.